Wondering how you can become better at running your business? Entrepreneurship can be stressful. There's too much to do and not enough time. If you're isolated in your daily decisions, have no fear. Success and balance are possible. Welcome to the Small Business Answer Man podcast, where you master the art of running a successful business using practical advice from experts who want to help you succeed. Now, here's your host, Gary Wilbers.
Welcome. We're glad to have you back. I told you my goal this first quarter was to find guests that would propel your business forward in 2024. And that was my whole goal, is to find people that's really going to make a difference. You guys know my 6P business owner formula I talk about. It's about people, productivity, pricing, promotion, process, and profits. And today we're going to get a lot into that process area about the operations of your business. So with me today is my guest, John. John, would you share with them what is the problem you're going to solve for our listeners today?
Sure. So my company really focuses on three of those pillars that are in there somewhere, maybe not all of them directly, but the people, the process, and platforms. And so I've been in consulting on the operational side for over 5 years now. Before that, C-suite level operational roles. And I've been really thinking about how is it best possible to serve small businesses, startups, and nonprofits in the operational world. And so after years of working as a outsourced COO, I've really kind of drilled my services down to three areas. One is the people part, helping recruit operation people so that the owners, operators can get out of the way, focus on the strategy of their business and not the day-to-day minutia tasks. The second is launching a coaching and mastermind program. We work with people on the operational level. So whether it's the EA who gets dumped all the operation stuff, or that's still that owner who is taking on these roles and duties, but doesn't really have that background experience, we help educate and train these people, as well as provide tactical support to quarterback them to make the right decisions. And lastly, we assess. We help businesses figure out exactly where they are to help them get to where they want to go.
This is going to be a great conversation because, John, as you know, this is a challenge. It's a stranglehold for most small business owners and entrepreneurs, not startups, mid-range, and that whole gamut. I've got businesses today in my mastermind, 20 years in the business, and it's still a stranglehold in their business. So I'm really going to enjoy this conversation with you, and I know our listeners are going to get value from it. So today with us is John Bassford. He's the founder and CEO of Lateral Solutions. It's an operations management company specializing in launching and managing internal operations for startups, small businesses, and nonprofits. John's a visionary entrepreneur, an operations professional who thrives on creating and driving change. John, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm so excited to talk about this topic because, as I said, and you kind of set it up very well, this is a strain for most businesses because most business owners are good at that visionary side of their business, but the operations side, be quite honest, it takes a lot of energy and it exhausts members. I was in this mastermind today, and one of our big topics out of most people coming out of their mouth was the operational side, how it really just sucks the life out of them. It's not something that people enjoy. So, John, we're glad to find people like you that do enjoy this. But I'm going to start here is talking really about the question of, can you share with us how can efficient internal operations really accelerate a small business growth for their business?
Sure. I think the main thing comes down to resources, and resources in two areas: time and money, right? If you are spent, not just the owner, but even the senior staff, the executives, manager level people, if their time is bogged down in the minutia of invoices and bills and payroll and timesheets, all of these things that every business has in some way, shape, or form. But if you're old school and it's all paper and manual, that eats up a lot of time. And so you're absolutely going to be trading your time on growth for administrative tasks. And then resources is, if you don't have this set up right, a lot of times what they end up just doing is outsourcing it to people to do fragmented pieces of their business. And that creates a very fragmented aspect of your business to where you're spending more money on these areas than you really need to if you could find a way to just channel it all together and have one person or one firm handle all these matters for you.
Yeah, and I think that makes a big difference because when organizations get this right, it becomes a lot more fun to operate your business. And the excitement level goes up. And really, then because I hear this, sometimes people get so bogged down in the operations that basically they just want to sell the business because they think that's going to solve it. And the problem is they could solve that problem a different way. I think one of the things that I'm curious about, and I think my business owners I work with, John, is so I'm going to ask you this question is what's some of those common challenges that you think small businesses face in really the business operations side of it? You shared a little bit in your opening, but can we go a little bit deeper there?
Yeah, so I think a lot of time it boils down to one or two things. One is just operations often is that second thought process, right? Let's get everything else going. Let's get our marketing going, our business development. We will worry about the operations side of the house later. And the problem with that is that you're going to have inefficient tools and processes that actually going to make that work that is the core focus of your business is going to make that a lot harder. Um, the other piece of this is not investing up front, but then also the problem becomes operations becomes an ad hoc task, meaning I do
Hmm.
it when I get to it. I'll do it when we get the late notice for the bill. And when you handle every little piece ad hoc, you're spending so much more time doing those tasks than if you set apart 3 hours of your week to say, I'm going to do all this work. But when you're logging into systems and doing one thing at a time, you'd be surprised at how much time that's going to eat up of your day.
Yeah, I could see that because then that becomes, of course, that's that time suck that comes there. Plus, it's something they don't enjoy doing, so they always put it off. I mean, how many small businesses they have a hard time invoicing people, and now today you don't have to invoice them if you set your systems up right. You get paid when you deliver the product or you produce the product. I don't care if you're service oriented or what. Tablets now, and with the internet and with what's the 5G and everything else with the wireless. I used to be in the wireless business. I mean, you can have service almost anywhere. And the one or two places you don't, guess what? All you got to do is normally drive half a mile and then you will have service there that's available. So you can make things simpler for you. I guess one of the things I'm curious about when you're working with people, John, what do you see as that process? You talked a little bit about the people side of it because operations people are a little bit different than others because number one, they can really take things from point A to point B and they follow a true path to that. Where the problem is with entrepreneurs, to be quite honest, we don't like a straight path. We actually like that things that change and stuff on that side. So when you're looking for people and you're seeing in the operation side, what are some of them skill sets you see that are so important?
Sure. So well, we're recruiting for an operation role, and we obviously do look at the hard skills, right? If you no two operations roles are exactly the same in any organization, and so we do focus on do they have the hard skills, most of the things checked off. But we don't aim at 100% of those things being checked off because a lot of those skills are transferable. What I focus on more than anything are two skills. One is problem solving. Operations covers so many different areas. It is impossible to know everything about everything. So you've got to really be able to research and dive in and get the data that you need to solve problems and have the autonomy and intellect and courage to execute on these ideas. And another piece of that, which is tied to it, is that research side is resource management. And a lot of
Hmm.
people, when a business talks about resource management, they're thinking of money, right? Do we have money to pay for things? What I mean in this context is someone who can use the resources at their disposal to get the information they need to have a data-driven decision. Tapping into those outsourced accountants and lawyers and doing it in a way that's not breaking the bank of the business. Because again, you can't be an expert in everything. You got to know a lot about a lot of different things. You can't be an expert in everything. So you got to know how to tap into various resources and be able to get that information without, driving up the expenses for the business.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of interesting. You brought up analytics and stuff because I wanted to talk about that because that is an area, I'll be honest, if they don't have an operations person, normally that small business has no data. I mean, they have at the end of the month what I call the lag measures. We've all heard from Stephen Covey that, okay, our sales was X at the end of the month, but we don't have those things that are true, what I would call lead indicators of what is going to happen to our business and looking out, being forward thinking versus reactive thinking that's there. So I was curious just on how analytics and you think data driven decisions, how that can optimize really the workflows and really help for the business growth.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had the privilege of working for and with a lot of really smart people. But one thing I've discovered is really smart people tend to really rely on their intuition and intellect.
Mhm.
And I got this guy, he's a savant, right? He can pull estimated numbers out of you know where, right? And he is right 99 out of 100 times. But that one time out of 100 where he's not right, that can destroy his business, right? So everything you do, finances, HR, your marketing, every aspect of your business has data somewhere in it that you have to first have the right tools to capture that data, analyze that data, then find the useful path moving forward. So data absolutely. I know today it's seen as this big IT Fortune 500 company type topic, but really it's what drives everyday business. We just got to find the ways, find the data that's useful to our business, and find a way to use it.
Yeah. And I think what we talked about before is when you find that person that's good at that, number one, they enjoy doing that. So the thing when I'm talking about for business owners, normally it's exhausting to them, it's energizing.
Yeah.
They enjoy getting into the data, getting into numbers, pulling those analytics and stuff to where you can learn so much more. Plus, when maybe a new technology comes on, we're using here, some AI with note taker and stuff that's available to give us some other information back. You need somebody on your team because I'm telling you, the speed of business, I'm sure you've seen that in your time being in business, John, it's speeding up. So we have to be prepared for it. So the question I would really come from on this side, let's talk a little bit about that process side. Because a lot of small businesses, this is their Achilles heel, is really they have a business, but all the knowledge is up here. And I'm not saying just from the business owner, from some of their key people. Everybody just knows kind of how to do their job. But the problem is, of course, when that person leaves, what happens? All the knowledge goes with them. Where large companies, they have processes built. So, what would be a way for small businesses to think about how can I break them processes down to be able to start getting those for my business? And instead of worrying about every process, how can you start the key ones that you need to be able to get those documented so they're not all wrapped up into the knowledge of the person?
Sure. So, we've all heard of the Mack truck theory. Like, what happens if a Mack truck runs into you as the owner? What happens to your business? And so, look at this from a perspective of what concept, what aspects of our business, if it got hit with a Mack truck, which ones would affect our business the most? That's where I would start. If your marketing process is core to who you are and core to how you drive your business and your revenue, start your marketing and then work your way down. When I've come into organizations from a COO level and I've assessed everything and kind of helped rebuild everything. I didn't do every department at once. I did it department by department. I think that's critical because they're all related somehow. So you're going to learn something in one department that is going to affect another one. So I do tend to piecemeal it by importance of how it would impact the business. But the good thing about today's process is, again, you want to look at what's the most impact. And today's tools that are out there, it makes it so easy to document stuff. Again, I mean, you can transcribe your phone calls. You can use Loom and literally just walk through the process, walk through your Salesforce process, walk through your CRM, walk through whatever it is. I hope it's okay. I mentioned two companies there, but really just walk through that process. You can talk through it, walk people through it, record those, save them. You're not spending hours typing things out, but you literally are creating a training guide just in one moment of doing the task that you need to pass along to someone else.
Yeah, I don't think we realize how much simpler it has gotten, and it's not about a written document. I have a book this big, and when I got to find it, I got to go find. No, it's literally, like you said, Zoom or Loom, and stuff on that side. All these tools available, you can actually walk them through those pieces, and it can take less time. We just hired a VA group not long ago, and the first couple of weeks, I'll be honest, it was very rough. And there was even some talk. I've got a small staff, just 3 people and stuff. We was like, well, I don't know if this is going to work out. And I'm like, no, we need to make this work. But you know who I've said? I said, the problem is not them, it's us. We've not given them the tools to be successful and stuff. So we went back and we started meeting twice a day on the call, but then we start really documenting our processes. And what we found out, we gave them from just top of our head. And of course, we would miss steps. And then we'd wonder why they'd make mistakes.
Right.
It's because we left those steps out there. So as you document those and you put those in place, you really get that on that side of it. I love your concept because I've never seen this, to be honest with you, John. I've seen people that will talk about different things, but you actually have a mastermind community. And I'm curious, I don't want to get into all specifics, but share with me how you help people, because as a business owner, do you help with maybe hiring an operations person, but you also help with the capability of being able to train that person up some? Is that kind of, give me a little bit of background, if you would, about how you work with the business owners.
Yeah, so our coaching mastermind program, we deal with people who come into it just on their own or through their business, but also anyone we recruit for operational roles gets enrolled into our mastermind as part of the recruiting fee. And the idea behind this is that our goal is to advance someone's career and knowledge and operations by 3 or 4 years in 6 months. And the reason why I'm confident in saying that is so much of operations is trial and error. I started out working for small organizations where I was the only operational person on task. And until you get to where you're 7, 8, 10, 12 years experience, you have got to figure it out on your own because no one else has done that. And it's trying different things. It's talking to when you're launching a new payroll system is a great example. You're talking to 20 different vendors because you've never done a migration before, you've never done a change before, you never hired a payroll company before. But once you have that knowledge and experience, decisions are a lot quicker. I have 3 go-to people that I go to for payroll. So what we're able to do is educate and train people on real tactical problem-solving aspects that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, but then also provide office hours. So if someone has that problem that is really dedicated to what they're doing, a problem they're having right now, they can tap into me and my network of operations directors and ask the problem, say, hey, look, I got tasked with this. I don't know where to begin. Can you quarterback me? And instead of that person spending hours or days, even weeks researching, we're able to give that initial advice that really sets them off. They end up making the final decision, right? But just that little bit of quarterbacking really goes a long way in cutting out the trial and error and wasted time researching.
Yeah, that's great information, and great because number one, you help, but you kind of also bring people in, and then you have a pool of candidates that's available for people that can come on board for people that are already trained and ready to go in those processes. All they have to do is then learn the business. Because one thing about operations, let's be honest, really, it doesn't matter if you're in manufacturing or if you're in nonprofits or if you're in retail. Operations are similar because there's payroll, there's the systems, all those things that has to go into it, but you can fit in the different areas in different realms. And I think the key is having people that understand their skill set, because that, I think, the biggest thing business owners don't realize. One reason it's painful and exhausting for them, that's not their skill set. You know, that's somebody else's skill set, and they have a hard time believing there's people that enjoy doing that kind of stuff, John. So you're unique, buddy, to us, but you're not unique because it's so important for the business. Well, that is some great information. I appreciate you sharing that. One thing let's really share with them. Number one, if somebody wants to reach out to you, your website is johnbassford.com. It's Jon, and we'll have it in show notes there to make it easy for you. But also, I think you have, if you want to learn about your community, you've got some great blogs I know on your website. I've checked that with some videos that's there, but you have kind of a mastermind community for tips, building and enhancing and automated internal operations. And we'll have that in show notes too, because we know our people are busy, but it's bizops.mykajabi.com. And we'll have that in show notes so they can reach that and get some information from you in those areas. But before we wrap up, I guess my last question for you, I'm going to leave it more open-ended. If I was a business owner, and that's who sits on this podcast and listens to us, and I was listening to this, what do I need to really do to really transfer my business? Was you heard me in my opening. In 2024, I want them to take their business to that next level. And a next level doesn't always mean more money. Sometimes next level may mean more freedom from their business so they can be with their families, not be tied up to doing operations and things of that nature. What would you tell me as a business owner, or what's some things I should consider as I move forward?
So we've all heard the cliche of got to work on your business, not in your business. And it sounds simple, but it actually takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage to step out of those day-to-day minutia processes. One, it's there. You trust yourself. You know it's being done. Two, it requires hiring someone. So that's more resources out of your business. But I'm telling you, take the leap. I don't think anyone's regretted ever hiring someone for these operational roles that really allows the owner, operator, CEO, founder, whatever that role is, to step above the tactical work, to really focus on the strategy, get more time, get more freedom, grow their business. Because if you don't build that base foundation on an operational person and operational efficiency, it's going to be that much harder to scale and grow your business.
Yeah, that's great advice because it's really the foundational component. Because, part of the operations is getting billing out, and that suffers for some businesses. They don't get their billing out till 30, 60 days later, and then it becomes slow pay in. Just changing that one thing to where you're getting paid up front. And today, to be quite honest, there's no excuse to say, people, I'm going to send you an invoice. Unless they're in some agency that you can't maybe let you do a lot of work in the government or something of that nature. But most of them, even government has now issued credit cards and you can get paid on the spot. So it's thinking about those things where they can get that return on investment for you. Well, John, I really appreciate you sharing your expertise with us because this is a topic that, as I told you, I was going to get excited about because I was just in my mastermind session, and I tell you, it took about out of the 4 hours of mastermind, about 2 hours, we were talking about operational issues and the headache that everybody was having with that side of it. So I know this is going to be very practical for our customers. Now, I'm sure we may have talked about it, but I want you to share what you think here because I ask every guest this same question. What would be your best advice you would give the business owners?
So my best advice to give the business owners is to bite the bullet, have the courage, hire that operational person in your business, step out of the day-to-day minutia, focus on the strategy, focus on the growth, work really as operation as a key part of your business, as not the secondary, stepchild over here, but truly focus on operations, and it can truly help your business grow.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly there because what happens is business owners probably spend less than 50% of their time on the thing that truly energizes them, their business. And then they spend over 50% of the time in the things that drains their energy. And then they wonder why they hate their business or why I don't enjoy it or no, I felt that from my business owners today. So take that leap, take that step. Go check out John's website, johnbassford.com, Jon. We'll have it in show notes there for you. He has a call to action for us. We'll have that in there, bizops.mykajabi.com. That'll be available for you. So check out his information. But John, you shared some great information for them to really think about. And I can't thank you enough for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Gary. If I could throw out there one more website for people to join,
Sure.
if you don't mind,
Yeah.
www.think small-lateral.com. That's my core business address. So feel free to check that out. That's got all of our list of services as well.
Okay. So think.lateral.com, right?
Yep.
Okay, super. We'll put that in show notes too, because we know they're not sitting there waiting to write this down. Go to your show notes. They're there. They're clickable. All you got to do is click on it, and you're going to get to all those different places that John has there for you to be able to check out. As we leave you today, I always like giving an action. My action is write down the things you hate to do in your business. And I did say the word hate, the things that you hate to do. Then I want you to see, would the majority of those, if you had an operations person, be able to do those duties, do you feel? And if you say yes to that, then go check John's information out, because maybe you need to hire him or find one of his operations people to bring into your organization, but decide to make that change. Because the thing is, your business can be a lot more fun if you have some of those things that are exhausting or painful out of your way. So that is my action for you today. Please take that up and do that. John shared some great information there. Before I let you go, remember, it's all the time we have for the podcast today. But until next time, go out there each day and continue to grow your business. Remember, don't ascend to the top of the mountain by yourself. When you help others achieve their success, you're going to find significance in your life. It's about climbing the top of the mountain and bringing others along with you. Make it a great day. Share and like this podcast and let others know about it. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us.
That's all the time we have for this week. To continue your journey, head over to smallbusinessanswerman.biz to access the tools and resources mentioned in today's show. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with someone who would benefit from listening. That's smallbusinessanswerman.biz. Until next time, remember, when you find the right solutions, your business grows, and you get your time back.